Hey everybody, it's Tim with Business Model U. Today I'm going to show you how to diagram your personal business model. I'm going to show you two different ways to diagram your personal business model. The quick way and the slower way. This video will cover the quick way. This is appropriate if you're reasonably confident of your current career direction and you want to see some immediate results from a basic redesign. In another video, I'll show you the slower way. This is appropriate if you're looking at a bigger career change, perhaps a promotion or a change at work, switching industries, or maybe even starting your own business. Let's jump right in and use this guy as an example. Oh, you've seen him before. Yes, that's me, and this is my personal business model canvas. I'm going to show you what my canvas was like when I was a university professor. I'll show you both before and after versions. What you are going to draw is your as-is personal business model. In other words, a visual picture of what your career looks like today. For this quick approach, I'm going to suggest that you skip key resources or who you are and what you have. That's because this is a big topic that we'll cover in the comprehensive approach. So start with key activities or what you do at work. As a university professor, I taught, I wrote, and I did community service. These are three activities that most university professors do. When you diagram your first as-is personal business model, I suggest you eliminate all but one. Focus on the single most important activity you do at work. For me, that was teaching. Teaching was the single most important activity for me, and it was the most fun. Next, let's look at customers. I had three customer segments: students, faculty and administration, and the community. And these corresponded to the three activities. Okay? But once again, I'm going to pick the single most important customer segment, which for me was students. I love teaching students, and I feel that's the most important role of a university professor. Now remember, you're going to pick only one important customer segment. In each building block in your personal business model, you want to have only one word or one short phrase. You'll see why this is important later on. Now let's look at value provided, or how you help. This is the most important and the most challenging building block of all. It's easy to confuse activities with value. And it's tempting to think of value as simply being the opposite of an activity. So for example, the result of teaching is learning. It would be easy for me to say, well, the value I provide is learning. But what I learned over years of teaching entrepreneurship was that while some students took my courses because they wanted to start new ventures, most took my courses because they wanted to become more entrepreneurial. They wanted to progress in their careers. So after years of understanding, I realized that the value I was providing was helping them advance in their careers. Now, what was the channel through which I delivered this value? Well, it's very simple and straightforward. It was classrooms. There you have it, a simple 4-block personal business model. But look how concisely it described my career. I teach students how to advance their careers, and I do so through a traditional classroom setting. Now it's your turn. I want you to create your first as-is personal business model. Okay? Start with a blank canvas. You can print out the personal business model canvas, or you can just draw one of your own. Next, write your name on the canvas. This is the one time that you want to write your name on the canvas itself. Otherwise, you want to use sticky notes. Okay? So start with activities. List several, but then trim it down to just one most important activity. Next, customers. You may have several. Decide which single customer or customer group is your most important. Then, value, or how you help. How do you help that single most important customer group? This is a real challenge to describe. And then finally, how do you communicate and deliver value to your most important customer? When you're done with your model, practice presenting it. For example, I'm Tim Clark. I teach students how to advance their careers through traditional classroom or workshop settings. And I have an online course now as well. It's very helpful to be able to tell your story in these simple terms. You might want to try placing the sticky note that describes each building block as you tell your story. Let's look at an example of how you can use the Personal Business Model Canvas to redesign your career. Remember, I was a university professor teaching students how to advance their careers through the classroom channel. Now, I wanted to reach a new customer segment, working adults who do not attend universities. How can I change my model? First, I simply put in a new customer segment using a different colored sticky note to signify that it's brand new. Now, the power of the Personal Business Model Canvas lies in its being a relationship map. It shows the relationship between all the different building blocks in your personal business model. And if we look at this, it's clear that the classroom channel cannot be used to communicate with and deliver value to working adults who are not enrolled at a university. Therefore, it became quite clear to me that I needed a new channel in order to reach working adults. In my case, I thought, well, if I can't reach working adults through a traditional classroom course, maybe I could write a book and create a special online community specifically for that new customer segment. So on my new model, I wrote down Book Online Community. Now this canvas is starting to make more sense, isn't it? Let's look now at value provided, or how you help the customers. As it turns out, the value provided is the same for both working adults and for students. So we can go on to key activities, or what you do. Now, to create a book and a new online community implies that there's going to be some new activities. As I discovered, books do not write themselves. Actually, I had written books before, so that wasn't a new activity for me. But creating an online community was a very significant new activity. So I put it here, build and lead an online community. Building and leading an online community implies that I'm going to have to develop some new skills, some new key resources for myself. And it also implies there's going to be some costs, not just time and effort on my part, but I probably have to get some partners to help me build this website and community and so forth. Let's review this redesign process. You can start in any building block. If you're not making enough money, you can start in revenue and what you get. If you're traveling too much, you can start in costs, or what you give to work. In my case, I started with a new customer. So, look at the modification and then trace the changes that are implied by that modification. Here we saw that the classroom channel would not reach or communicate with working adults, so we added the book and online community. The value proposition was the same, but creating this new channel requires some new activities here. Okay? And then we could continue to trace through resources, costs, partners, and so forth. I know this looks very easy and straightforward when you see it here, but it's challenging. The key point is to get those career and work-related thoughts out of your head and onto paper, onto a third place where you can see them clearly, manipulate them logically, and be very intentional about the way you want to work going forward.